Okay, so that recording started. This recording started. Put on our happy faces.
I see recording.
And we got to mention Don's not here. Okay, you guys ready?
Ready.
On your mark, get set. And I think we are going to be live. Hello, folks, and welcome back to BricsCAD Unplugged. And wow, do we have lots of news today from last week in London at our conference. Real fast, I'm Matt Olding in the Educational Learning Department. Heidi?
Heidi Hewitt, User Success Manager.
I'm Vince, VP Sales for Bricsys, and also the little side dish of some technical.
You're really technical, so. But yeah, well, folks, I just want to let you know, last week in London was busy. We got one broadcast out with some of the big news that we're going to talk about right now. But real fast, we want to say Don, our partner, he's not feeling that well. I think he wore himself out last week. So just a shout out to Don. And then also too, if you haven't bought your candy yet, today, especially in the US, it's Halloween, okay? So trick or treat to all the kids and everything out there who are gonna celebrate, or if you're going to a party tonight or anything for Halloween. It's definitely in the US, Halloween has become sort of a national holiday, you guys, it seems like.
But we don't get it off.
I know, we don't. We don't. Who knows, maybe in the future, maybe our kids will. So yeah. Okay, with that though, you guys, let's just go into it. We put together a little PowerPoint slide of some of our favorite highlights from last week at the London show. So I'm gonna share my desktop here. Give me a second.
While you're pulling that up, I have to show my snow on Halloween.
Oh, Heidi.
In Colorado,
wow.
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 Good 6 inches or so last night.
Wow, living at 8,000 feet up in the mountains. Yeah, you got snow. That's cool.
I just got back to California yesterday. It is probably 70 degrees here. I am not complaining.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good too.
Yeah, where I live, we actually getting down to the 30s at night, but the daytime high is supposed to be 70 today. So, but all the trees, I'm looking out my window here, all the trees are changing, their colors right now. Gorgeous. Yeah, really nice. Okay, you guys, the conference next week. We're going to talk about, folks, we're going to talk about some of the cool things that happened last week. And the very first big news, really big news, is this. If you haven't heard yet, we are now part of Hexagon PPM, okay? And with that, Vince, I'm going to pass it off to you, and if you could
surprise,
put you on the spot here, and if you can tell some of the audience some of the details about the acquisitions last week and what happened and everything with Hexagon.
Well, I think we started the conference with that, and I think it's really exciting because now we've got so much more in terms of support for us. It's going to be exciting. They're dedicated to keeping us as a platform, and also being able to continue to leverage the reseller channel and to the third-party developers, and also with this being with the release of V19, all the exciting things. It was a tremendous conference last week, and I would just say that there's a lot to come. So I think you've got a couple slides, and it'd be good to run through those just for the
yeah. So like this next slide is if you want to continue talking about it, Vince.
You didn't tell me this before, but that's okay. I think if you look at the size of the company, that's 3.5 billion euro, which is more than 4 billion if you do the math, US. It's a very big organization. They now include us in their number, so we're 19,000 strong plus, and they still take a very good portion of their revenues and put it into R&D. And so the good news for us is we're going to continue to see more and more funding for expanding into different markets, into the US especially, and then also to continue to release, the money is going to be there for us to continue improving BricsCAD and, the Bricsys product line. So we're very, very excited about that.
Yeah, yeah, incredibly excited. And Heidi, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, no, that commitment to R&D is super exciting, I think.
Yeah, and to let you, and for some of our audience members, if you haven't know anything about Hexagon, basically there's 8 divisions. So it's a big company. You saw how many employees, globally based, and where we are going to fit in is the PPM division is where we're going to be. But you can see all the other divisions that they are specialized in.
And the website is a great place to visit to learn more about it.
Yeah, correct. Go up to their website. But then just some brief history really fast. I'm a history buff. I wish I would have majored that in college though, but just where they came from and where they are today. And yes, Intergraph is part of Hexagon and everything. And now you could see the timeline here and where we are on that timeline, with our technology and DWG.
And actually going back to that, Matt, what I found really interesting when Rick was discussing it, if you go back to the previous slide, is kind of explains, if you can go back,
yeah.
it kind of explains sort of why Hexagon, particularly PPM, is sort of based out of Huntsville, Alabama. And I think that the ties previously to NASA that Rick explained was quite interesting, and the history going back to 1969.
Yeah.
And that it really just shows the history of technology that Hexagon is kind of founded in, and the PPM division particularly.
Yeah. So yeah, it's great history and everything. So definitely go up to their website and you can, read more about it and everything. Okay, the next slide, you guys, is this one, and I really like this. Basically, Eric started off the presentation, and it's all about simplifying things. And I like to bring up my phone about this and making the software easier to use, but way more powerful. And to me, that's where we are definitely going with our technology, is making it more simplified, easier to use, and more powerful. And those are the main things I want you guys to get out of what I took out of the conference, is where the direction that we're headed. And I don't know if Vince or Heidi, if you have any comments.
Yeah, that was one of the things that has struck me from the first time I visited Ghent in Belgium, and visited the office last March, when they started showing me, and a lot of what I saw was just the beginning of the features and the demos that they actually presented last week at the conference. But that's what really hooked me in, is seeing how they took simple things that were familiar to me, like my extensive history of just playing CAD and 2D and 3D, and made it so powerful. They kept the simple, something I understood, but they made it so powerful. And that really came through watching these demos pulled together last week.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on here, you guys. And to one of the big topics that was a big hit at the show was the BricsCAD BIM, and some of the new technology that's going to be in BricsCAD BIM. Now, keep in mind, in the next following weeks on our show here, I just want to announce that we're going to be getting into the feature functionality of the new features inside of the BricsCAD BIM Mechanical and the core product, just BricsCAD itself. So today we're just going to do highlights, a few of the things though. But with the BIM, one of the top things that I thought was very interesting, that was the myths about BIM, and is it just hype? Is it costs more? Is BIM just for the big guys? And is BIM too much work? And Vince and Heidi, if you guys can comment on some of this stuff on the slide that they were presenting.
Yeah. Go ahead, Vince, if you have anything. Otherwise, I have plenty to say.
Yeah, no, I'm excited that we can show some of the things that we got to see and go over that. What was really impressive is how quickly we were shown going from either nothing or a very simplistic non-BIM model to a fully functional BIM model. Just the simplification, the number of steps that it took to get there, and the intelligence that is being worked into the product to make it easy transition for those people that need to get to BIM but don't want to spend weeks or months going through a whole new workflow or a whole different product structure. The ability to do that in a very efficient manner was very impressive for me.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, my background is architectural engineering. So I have a special passion for anything related to buildings. And just being able to take that workflow, like you said, Vince, that we already have, that we're used to doing, and not have to, one of the things that they showed as they were starting the demo is just modeling the way you think, right? You just model the way that the design is coming to you in your head, and you don't have to let the tools get in the way with you. You push and pull and slice and use all these different tools, and then you can add the intelligence later. And that is just so impressive.
Yeah, and I agree. It just, and then also too, for the myths, you know, and I think, you know, with our product, you know, we're definitely taking those myths and pushing them way away. They're going bye-bye. You know, is BIM difficult? Does it cost more? No, no, no. You know, it's just like, so folks out there, if you haven't tried our BIM product yet, please do. And then just on this slide, you guys, some of the neat things that are coming out in with our new BIM product. You know, from 3D BIM, quick draw, slicing, you know, scheduling, smart curtain walls, a bunch of neat little functionality that's coming out, and you know, that BricsCAD BIM is going to be having in the product, and we'll be showing some of this stuff off in the next, you know, in the next basically month or so. One of the favorite features that I love, and I think you guys do too, is Bimify. And the word is just, you love the word, but then, you know, but also too, just what does it mean and what does it do and everything. And to me, just seeing more capability built into this functionality. And folks, if you don't know what it really is, it means if you have a model, okay, if you're designing a model and you need to get your model to the intelligent part, having that intelligent data, we have a tool called Bimify. It'll go through it and identify all your walls, windows, your slabs, and everything, and give that background data there for you automatically. Okay, and Heidi, I don't know if I know you like this tool, this functionality a lot. So if you want to emphasize,
yeah. Well, first, anything that ends with "ify" must be cool. It's like
yes.
And like I said, I first started seeing some of this functionality back in February. And my jaw was open back then, but now seeing it pulled together, I mean, I sat there through this presentation, even though I've seen this several times over, you know, the last 6 months or so, sitting there last week in the conference and watching this presentation. They were doing this all live. It wasn't video. They were doing this all live from scratch, modeling this building, this villa. And the word that kept going through my mind is magic. It's like magic. This can't really be, but I know it's true because I've been there and I've watched them and I saw them, you know, kind of developing it. So it's just amazing to me. And one of the interesting notes about this particular image that you have on the screen there is that that you just took off.
Sorry.
One of the interesting things about that is while Jacob was demoing that, he used BricsCAD. I believe he was using the Platinum version, but it was just BricsCAD. He could have done all of that also in Shape, the free modeling tool. So he could have done it all up to this point in Shape. It didn't really matter. There was no intelligence. It was just using the design in his head, modeling free form, making the shape that he wants. And then when he got to this point with Bimify, that's when he added the intelligence. So to me, that is incredibly powerful because it means that users can use the tools they already know, whether it's Shape or other CAD applications. They can use those tools, model the way they always do, and then take it right in here, use Bimify, and now move into the more intelligent BIM model.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And then this next slide, you guys, I think it became the word through the whole conference, the twisted tower, and how perfect for Halloween too. That's that name. But yeah, you know, just hearing after they saw this demonstration of the twisted tower being built really from scratch, from Shape, then all the way up being Bimified inside the BIM product, and then adding the curtain wall here was very impressive. And then just to hear all the noise and all the people in the audience, you know, just, you know, saying the twisted tower, how cool is that and everything. So yeah, it definitely was pretty impressive. Vince, you know, before we head off on some of the mechanical stuff, you went into another room where they were doing Blade, you know, stuff on the new technology for LISP and dealing with Blade. Can you emphasize a little bit on that?
Yeah, I've got some things to share there. So Steve Johnson and Torsten Moses did a class on the blade updates. And for those of you that do any type of list development, I would highly encourage you to jump into this environment. It was impressive. Some of the features and benefits that they were showing, it's really technical stuff in terms of just the way you can bookmark, the way you can see your information, the variables and how it's all there laid out. I was very impressed, and I know I've been waiting to get on Blade just because I've been so incredibly busy, but I want to share this with you. On the way back, on the flight back from London, I went into Blade and started setting up all the color coding and everything to the way I use it in a different environment. And, I got everything working really well. And I'm like, well, there's a couple little things that I thought could be possibly added. Maybe there's a highlighting thing here. And there was, I like to, because some of my programs get to be literally thousands and thousands of lines, I like to save different versions and iterations so I can always go back if something breaks and do some testing. And so I just sent an email before I got off the flight to the guys saying, hey, these are the really cool things I like about it. I suggested a couple things. They've already changed.
They did.
They will be in the next release.
Nice.
I'm so blown away.
Nice.
These guys are like, hey, that's a great idea. Let's add that. So you will see this stuff coming out in V19. I am just so impressed with these guys. And hopefully, I think what would be really good is if we could bring Steve Johnson back and have him showcase some of
definitely. Yeah.
So, I mean, I would highly encourage you, if you are doing any Lisp or code development, if you're used to an environment in another product that was somewhat kludgy and had lots of issues and problems and used to lock up and crash and things like that, I would highly encourage you to just jump into Blade, start looking at it, set your environment up. It is, you can create different projects. And I mean, it's just a really cool tool. So highly encourage you to look at it.
Well, cool. Well, thanks, Vince. And so now I'm going to jump back with the slide. And one of the other main topics was BricsCAD Mechanical. And this is where, I was all happy to see some of this technology. And basically, because all this technology, for BricsCAD and the Mechanical is based off of DWG, you guys. It's just like the power of DWG is just expanded like you would not believe with these products and everything. So one of the things I loved about the Mechanical session was this, just to basically freely model in the CAD system and not be stuck to a hierarchy system like a history-based system, and where we just say, hey, go for it. You want to model and start your design and start free-forming your design, and then you add all the constraints and the power of those 3D constraints and everything. It was just wonderful watching these guys demonstrate the technology off on this. And so I don't know if Vince or Heidi, if you guys have any comments about some of the Mechanical, the freeform modeling.
My background isn't mechanical, so I didn't quite, it wasn't as familiar to me as the BIM presentation, but what really stood out to me, there was one animation that they had with the equipment, the construction equipment, and the gears, and it was all animated. It was really impressive that they were able to animate that. I still don't understand. I know it was related, they were using parametrics, but it was another one. I was sitting there just going, it's magic, it's magic. And what you said, DWG, those two words, DWG and it's magic.
I know, yeah, it's all DWG.
Well, I have a couple of things. I mean, I'm sort of a hybrid because in an early life, I was a mechanical engineer. And then midway through my career, I switched over and became, in the AEC space. And so I've kind of lived in both of these environments. And what I saw from just the mechanical side of things is, bringing in, they brought in a SolidWorks model and they were parametrically moving it around without having to translate it. They actually just brought it in. It was amazing what they were able to do that. And then if we go back to BIM for a second, because along a similar line, there was a point where they brought in a door and they were parametrically modifying the door, if you recall. Yeah. And then after they did all that, they told us, oh, by the way, this is a Revit family. And so those two things, I said this last year, and I'll say it again. When I went to Paris, one of the most impressive things I felt throughout the conference was I saw all these things, and I had a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that this was all in one product.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at it going, we're seeing all these BIM things happening, all these mechanical things happening, all this other stuff happening, and it's still all inside of BricsCAD.
It's all DWG, which I think is just so impressive. Just like you said, bringing in data from Revit or from these other CAD packages, it was simple and easy, and they just started using it right away in DWG format and saving.
Now let's be clear that Revit data was a Revit family, and it's not you're not just bringing in Revit models.
Right.
There's a way to do that, but not natively. But what we did bring, or what they did bring in, was a Revit family that was native.
Yeah. And one of the other things with mechanical, let me. Did you change the slide, you guys? There we go. Was the parametric components. I thought this was just wonderful to see this. And, basically there is a library, a new library with a new release coming out. And you could take all these components basically in 3D that are already parametric, that you could just change and modify the dimensions or the constraints as will. And plus two, add your own to the library. And I thought this was extremely powerful. For moving on forward for the mechanical. And so basically, as this slide says, we delivered it all in DWG, basically from assembly design all the way through generating your drawing, your 2D drawings, and using the mechanical product though. So to me, powerful stuff for the mechanical side of the house and along with the BIM.
Yeah, that auto exploded view was pretty cool too when they were showing that. And I think we played it multiple times because we're all just watching going, wait a minute, did that just happen?
I know. I was just like, whoa. Yeah, it's all DWG, which I think is great.
Yeah, and along that lines, when you were talking about those components, I mean, that really, as a traditional CAD user, if I see something like that, it sounds a little scary to me because I think, oh, it's going to be like families or some other thing that I won't know how to handle it. But what I love about components, whether they're mechanical or they're BIM components in BricsCAD, they're still DWG based, and you can open them up. You can modify the solids. It's so familiar. It's parametrics and it's solids.
Yeah. Well, hey, you guys, I think we're way over 20 plus minutes. But I know we could talk more and more and more. And believe me, there's lots of stuff we want to show off, and we will in the future. So our next week, we're going to start it off showing off some of the new features and functionalities that we saw last week at London, and we're going to start broadcasting it to you guys here live on Unplugged and everything. And so, yeah. But Vince, Heidi, do you guys have any closing comments, summary, or anything from the convention?
No, just exciting stuff, and it's just never ending. The possibilities are endless, and let's get going so we can get some more work done.
So really important, V19 is not shipping yet, but if you buy V18 today, right now, you will get V19 when it ships. So any new seats of V18 that are out there that you purchase, you'll be on board. And then again, you can always do all in, which is our maintenance, which remember, it's a perpetual license that you can get with BricsCAD. And with V18, you do get the V19 that's coming out, and it's a small window because we're going to be shipping really soon, probably in the next couple of weeks. So I would encourage you, if you're thinking about it, do something right now, because with a new product, there's going to be a price increase. Of course, because of a lot of the added functionality and features and things that we're going to be in the product. But right now, there's an opportunity to jump on and get V19 when it ships.
Yeah, definitely. Vince, thanks for bringing that up. I forgot in the very beginning we were going to announce that. But yeah, so if you buy V18 today, version 18, you get 19, basically. So go up and buy 18 right now, and then, within the next, maybe month, less than a month, you'll have V19, you guys. So yeah, it's cool. Well, hey, you guys, with that, we're running way over. Let's say goodbye. But everybody, download the trial software, like us on Facebook, and like us on YouTube. Okay? And we'll see you all next week and showing off some live demos. Bye.
Right. Bye-bye.
Halloween. Stop the recording.